Hello. So my name is Jeff, and I run a content marketing agency called Room for Media, right? We specialize in creating content for marketing campaigns, in marketing strategies, and also in the distribution of such content. And also kind of our methodology is kind of being customer-centric as much as possible. So that is why tonight I'm going to talk about customer journeys, not just creating content for the sake of creating the content, but how we're going to use that content, okay? What type of content we're going to create for the different stages of the customer journey. This is what we're going to cover tonight. We're going to talk about content marketing and customer journeys, why they have to be in sync, marketing challenges that we constantly face, how to get started, and finally the benefits of taking all this into consideration. So, why I'm doing this tonight is because I love personalized and frictionless experiences. I guess you guys do that as well. And also, I have been noticing, right, on a personal level and on a professional level, there's a huge disconnect between marketing, advertising, and the actual customer experience, right? So this is something that we want to try and improve, right? And it is kind of our mission. And hopefully I'll inspire you enough to do so after tonight's talk. So let's go through a few definitions first, right? Just to make sure that we're understanding kind of the main terms that I'll be using tonight. Let's start with content marketing. It is the creation of valuable, authentic, and relevant content and distributing it to your audience at the right time during their journey, right? That is very important. And we're going to see why later on. Then another term is customer journey. Is the complete sum of experiences that customers go through when interacting with a business or a brand. And another term that we'll be using quite often tonight is a customer journey map. It's the end-to-end visual representation of the experience of a customer has over time with a brand or a business. And also, it will help you visualize touch points, marketing messages, content required, identify gaps, right? And also potential solutions to solve any issues that there's like during the customer journey. Anyone familiar with these terms? Yeah? Hands up? Okay, good. All the terms which I mentioned a while ago, they have to be in perfect sync for the following reasons. So content is a main driver in customer journeys. Great content triggers moments of inspiration and also invites prospects, customers to act, right? So define what action do you want them to take after seeing a piece of content, right? Now, when we talk about content, we're not talking about, like, for example, text, like a blog post, right? We're talking all sorts of content, like it can be video, an image, an advertising banner, right? There's a whole list, and we will be reviewing them later on, okay? And also, if you have a customer journey, it will serve as a guide to the business and to the customer, and we will see why later on. And also, we strongly believe that it will improve the marketing effectiveness and better customer experience. Okay, so let's review what's being done wrong. Marketing content at the moment, right, it's being produced as a standalone, right, and not part of a strategy. And we come across this many times, especially when a client calls us and they tell us like, hey, like, look, we want a video to generate leads. Oh, okay, but we want it for awareness as well. And I'm like, oh, let's calm down a bit, And this is my next point. This is the next point. The same piece of content used at different stages of the customer journey. And I tell you why. First of all, it has to be done strategically, because each piece of content needs to have, for each stage, needs to have its own call to action, right? Like for example, if it's video content and you have a piece of content for the awareness stage, I mean, no one wants to be sold any products during the awareness stage, you know? They want to know maybe about the brand, you know, like what problem you're solving, but they don't want to see like a promo video, you know? So that is why you need to take all this into consideration. And another thing that we see and we come across many times is customer journeys are predicted, right, or assumed, you know? So we have come across, like for example, customer journeys which are designed like this. Okay, let's do a workshop. We get a team from different departments, and they start kind of mapping these customer journeys without even talking to the customer, you know, or without even involving the customer service department, right? So that is why you need to do, like for example, and we'll go through it, like face-to-face interviews. So these journeys are customer-centric. I guess all of us over here are involved into marketing, and right, so let's go through them really quick. So at the moment we're dealing with prospects, right, which first of all, they're very well informed, then they expect information on demand and easily accessible. Like let's say, like for example, you have a website, your viewers skim through it really quick and they expect to find the information that they need immediately, right, after a few seconds. When we analyze, like for example, behavior on websites, we come across, like for example, those sites, certain sites which are not really well structured, you know, they get lost and they cannot find what they want, what they came for, and they'll simply leave the website. They want to consume and they want to receive content which is relevant to them, right? And they want it to be presented to them in a personalized manner, right? So that's another challenge. We cannot simply automate everything, right? And yet tell them like, hey, this is the content, this is the message that we want to get across. I hope you like it and understand it. No, they want it personalized. And when we talk about personalization, we're going beyond, hey, Jeff, if you know about you're familiar with email marketing, hey, F name. It goes beyond that, right? So it's all about what their tastes are and what they're looking for, what they have inquired, you know. And as I mentioned before, prospects get lost, right? I think you might recall like a situation. You went to look for something, you want to buy something, and you simply said like, whoa, 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 this is too much, right? I don't know where to start, you know, I don't know where to search. I'm gonna postpone it for another day. So when we do, like, that is why we need to do customer journeys, right? So we guide prospects during the different stages. Let's explore customer journey maps, okay? They come in different shapes and forms, okay? But nearly all of them follow the same flow and logic. And now we're going to review a few customer journeys, right, which I came across, you know, and we're going to briefly go through them. Mind you, they look all linear, right? But that does not mean that customer journeys have to be linear, okay? But for a visual presentation, yeah, they start from one side and normally they finish on the other side. Okay, so this is a very typical customer journey, a very basic one. So over here you see on the top left, you see an advert, and then they go and they see the advert, they go and search, then they go and search again, you know, they maybe check some reviews, okay? Then they say, okay, it fit my budget, and they go and shop, right? It's a very simple customer journey. Another one, which I'm sure that you're familiar with, you know, like social media or some form of content. They download an ebook, get a demo, right? They start shopping, they pay, maybe they're happy or they interact with their customer team, right? And then maybe there's another consumption and they purchase and repurchase. This is another simple journey, right? It starts from the awareness, consideration, purchase, retention, and advocacy, right? This is slightly different because it talks about, it visualizes also the emotional part, right, of a journey, right? So from this part upwards, it's about like their positive experiences, you know, and the ones below the line, the dotted line, is the negative experiences. So they are kind of happy when they're aware of the product, when they start product research, maybe a neutral kind of feeling when they visit the store, when they purchase, when they receive the product, right? But then as soon as they have a product issue, then it turns into a negative experience. So we need to kind of visualize all this, right? So we know exactly where we need to act, right? And what kind of content we need to create for each step of the journey. So let's review some advanced journey maps, right? This is a bit more complex, but it follows the same logic, right? So over here you've got the different steps, right? Then you've got the storyboard to kind of visualize it better. Then over here, if I'm not mistaken, you've got, this is kind of the emotional part. These are the processes, right? This is an explanation of the process. Some, I think, issues and opportunities, right? So this is another journey map. And also this is an advanced journey map, right? Again, it follows the same logic, right? But it is mapping the user actions, the different touch points, right? The emotions, the pain points, and also the possible solutions. Tonight I want to discuss, not present to you, but I want to use kind of our hybrid journey map that we use, right, for our customer journeys, right? It's quite simple to use, right? It starts with the customer persona. First we start with the customer persona. Then we have like a storyboard with the different steps. Then the messages that they need to get during their journey. And then the type of content they want, we can create for each stage of the journey, okay? Are you with me, or it's quite confusing or not? Good? Okay, great. Feel free to ask questions, okay? So this format, I can share it with you if you want, okay? It's ideal to get started, and as I mentioned, it focuses on the customer, on the marketing messages, and on the content required for such campaigns, right? So let's create one. Let's start going through an example. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to establish like the scope, right? You need to establish in how much detail you're going to go into this journey, right? Do you want to have, like, for example, an end-to-end experience, like showing the end-to-end experience? Do you want to focus on one particular step of the journey, or you want to go really granular into each step? So this is the first thing that you want to kind of establish. I suggest if it is the first time, right, or you're meeting your team to propose this, right, start from a high-level map, right, so it won't get confusing. Now, to create a map, you can either use, like, there are so many templates available, right, to do such customer journeys. There's also really good software that you can use, right, and it makes it really easy to kind of do all this, you know, and get people to collaborate, other team members to collaborate in creating such customer journeys. Mind you, this is something that needs to be continuously updated. It's not something that you create one time, right, and then everyone follows it. You need to review this, like, let's say, every month, get the team together from different departments, right, and then discuss it and see what's going on. So then step number 2 is customer personas. So a customer personas is the main actor for your journey, right? Now we'll see how kind of the main characteristics of a customer persona. And it is a rich description of a fictional person who exemplifies a specific group of people that you're kind of targeting for this particular campaign or whatever you're doing. And also, it is very important that you focus also on the emotional side of the persona, and not just the traditional demographic and psychographics that we use, right? So we need to kind of figure out what they're feeling, you know, like what are their main pain points, you know, what they care about. So this is the customer persona section, okay? So the usual stuff, name, age, right? You need to give like a name to this persona, like for example, I don't know, corporate Jeff, I don't know. Age, right? And a range, okay? What's his job title? What's his behavior, emotions, right? And then these are very important. Needs, goals, motivations, expectations. This is really something very important that often gets overlooked. What are they expecting of such service? What are they expecting of from doing business with your company, right? It's very important. And also the pain points. So, as I told you, main actor for the journey, demographic and psychographics, and over here, needs, pains, and challenges. How to get accurate insights, right? So, research on a qualitative level, right? Conduct face-to-face interviews when possible, if possible, right? This is quite challenging when it comes to, like, for example, startups, you know, when maybe they're launching a new company, launching a new product, but hey, you need to figure out like where to get this kind of conversations, you know, maybe from close friends, I don't know, like those that fit into the potential prospect or client category, right? Empathy, right? This is something very important. Walk a mile in their shoes, something that we do a lot, right? Whatever the project is at Room4Media, is that we try and become the client, right? The customer of our client, right? So let's say, like, for example, if it's an online platform, we go through the registration and figure out, like, hey, how do they register, right? But there were times where we did like a mystery call, you know, to see, like, hey, I'm inquiring for this, so we see if there are any weaknesses in the messaging, you know, etc. Then you need to map the main steps, right? So each journey consists of a sequence, right, of steps. Now, the steps which I'm going to show you, they are not necessarily like the right steps, you know, like every journey for every product or every service, you know, is going to be different. So, how to create steps? So first, you need to a short title, right, summarizing the activity. Okay. Then you need to map out all the activities, touch points, okay, and micro interactions with the brand and the company. And as I told you earlier, a storyboard is helpful to explain what customers go through. And this would be very helpful, right? So when you get like other team members which were not involved that much in the process, right? They could understand, like, hey, what's the consideration stage or the decision stage? If you show them, like, for example, an image, right, of someone thinking, they could immediately, like, oh, okay, it's a customer kind of debating which option should I go for. So these are kind of the main steps that we're going to discuss today. So these are the steps, and this is kind of the storyboard, right? This is the image that we use to kind of explain such kind of journey, right? So over here we have the awareness. You come across an ad, consideration, actively search for more information and options. Then the decision stage, you narrow down your favorites. Then you actually do the transaction and acquisition of the service or a product. And then hopefully you like the brand and the product so much or the service so much that there's a repeat purchase, and you start referring other people to buy such service or product. So now let's go through the marketing messages, right? There's something very important, right? That before we create any content, it has to be done, right? So we make sure that that whatever content we are creating, right? It goes in at the right stage of the journey. So let's start awareness. So in the awareness, what's happening is the buyer realizes that they have a problem or they're missing something, right? So they have a moment of inspiration. I need a pair of shoes. So at this stage, they're after informative, helpful, and educational information. They don't want to see like, hey, buy the shoe. No, they just want to search, hey, what's in the market. Then consideration. This is where they start actively searching for a product or a solution, right? So first that comes in mind is the top of mind brands, right? That's why you constantly have to work on brand awareness and get your brand out there, right? And they also ask like friends, family, colleagues for recommendations, right? So what they want to get, maybe a shoes is not the right, maybe it's a software, right? Let's talk about a software for this particular example. So what they do, what they want at the moment is they want information to review the solution, right? They want to review the benefits, and I want to see all the options out there, right? The decision. So at this stage, they have kind of like eliminated those that they're not going to solve the problem, right? And they narrow down their favorites, and they're going to check previous customer experiences. They're going to check also, like they're going to compare pros and cons, and they're going to also do like fact checking, like, hey, is this the real deal or is this a scam? Then the next stage is purchase, and they are interested about how they can acquire such solution. Like, is this something scalable, right? Or is this something that, okay, like I can use it today, but in a few years' time I need to kind of look for another solution. Are there any add-ons? What's the after-sales support like? So, and at this stage, content has to be hyper-personalized, right? For the simple reason that during this stage, there's quite a lot of interaction between the prospect and the company, right? They're evaluating, and hopefully they will transact with the company. And then the next stage, it's about helping them become successful, right? Offer them upgrades, offer them to join a community, you know. It's very important that businesses, right? It's something very important that it's the business job to make sure that their customers are successful using their product, right? And at this stage, right, they have to think about like ways how to give them hyper personalized experiences, right? Information on whatever they are selling. So let's review some content ideas, right? Because not all types of contents are suitable for all stages. So let's start with the awareness, right? In the awareness stage, there's a lot of social media posts, right? So stories, brand awareness videos, thought leadership content, infographics, blogs, light ebooks, not technical ebooks, like very light ebooks, you know. And also you should give them tools, right? Like DIY, do-it-yourself tools, right? Like for example, if I'm selling the software of customer journey mapping, right? I can give you for free this sheet, right? This template for free. You can do it. You can do the job, but then also like I can offer you the product, right? Then for the consideration stage, you need to think about, like, for example, explainer videos. Like, for example, we come across a lot of companies that want explainer videos, right, for the awareness stage, and that's not the right thing to do, right? If you want to use your explainer video for the awareness stage, you need to kind of get some extracts from that video and make sure you don't kind of give them the wrong message at the wrong time, right? Promotional content, that should go into the consideration stage. Interactive videos, right? Interactive videos allows you to kind of, for example, choose your own route, and it allows you to watch what is relevant to you at that particular stage during the customer journey. Webinars and podcasts are really good. Something which is, I mean, it has been used for a while. Cost and return on investment calculators, right? They tend to convert quite a lot because people are curious, like, hey, if I invest this, what am I likely to get or what am I likely to save? Reports with original research, so it's very important, like, for businesses to constantly, maybe, I don't know, like, research their market, or do surveys amongst their customers and then present these to future prospects and also to current clients. And pricing and packages is something very important. Like, we come across many businesses that, like, for example, they don't have, like, for example, like a price sheet or something. But you need something. If someone is asking you, like, hey, what does this cost? You need to be able to send them something, maybe not an itemized pricing sheet, but at least some ballpark figures, You need to have that kind of content. Then in the decision stage, case studies, testimonials, very important. So you need to make sure that as soon as you kind of see that a client is successful with your product, right, ask them for a testimonial. Hey, would you mind writing a review on this website, for example? It depends where your prospects are searching for such reviews. Product videos, product decks, right? Deep dive content, especially when it comes to, like, for example, like technical stuff. Technical sheets, something which is good as well, and it can be used also earlier in the customer journey, and behind the scenes footage. That's something really good because it shows the personality of the company, right? People are curious what happens behind the scenes, right? We do our own behind the scenes, and like the engagement rate goes 90+, right? So that means that nearly all viewers watch these 1-minute videos till the end, 90%+ engagement rates. And also something very important are the FAQs, right? Frequently asked questions. It's a very effective way to kind of present this kind of content, right? And also it saves time to your customer service department, right? So they can kind of self-service and go through the FAQs on their own. Then the purchase, personalized content, right? So let's say, like, for example, I don't know, you're trying to close a deal, and I mean, there are platforms that allows you to send a personalized video, right, at scale, right? So let's say, like, for example, contradicting a bit myself of what I said earlier, but like sending, like, for example, a video, hey, John, and then maybe some data will be included in the actual video itself, It's something quite innovative. You don't come across it every day. Something being done, right? But that's another way how to stand out from the competition. Sales toolkit, very important for your sales team, right? That they have all the material that they need, like, for example, product decks. There's quite a lot of things that they would need really handy, during a sales conversation or a follow-up meeting with a prospect. How to get started guides, that's very important. So once the transaction happens, right, what content are you gonna give your customers, right, to get started on their own, And that saves quite a lot of time also to your customer support team. Like it's very important that you give them a guide, right? Set up video tutorials, very important, right? A lot of people they don't want to read anymore. They just want to watch a 1-minute tutorial, 2-minute tutorial, and solve any doubts that they have. Customer onboarding content. So Jeff, you need to have all the sheets ready, and templates ready to give them to your clients, right? And that's not just the technical stuff, but also, like, for example, I don't know, like something entertaining, like, so you show another fun personality maybe of your brand, and also invite them to communities. Hopefully, like, for example, usually these are done by the big brands, I don't know, like a closed Facebook group, a private Slack channel. There are so many places where people can hang out digitally and ask and interact, Okay, and the final stage is for the kind of loyalty retention, right? Customer success content, show them customer success stories, right? And that way they feel more encouraged of using whatever you are offering, and also invite them to become that kind of success story for you, so you can produce content using their case study, right? Give them exclusive content and also personalized recommendations. So based on, this can be done manually by the account managers, but based on what they are consuming and what they are engaging with, you have to give them more content, right? Any useful add-ons that you have that you're offering, and also make sure that you have a referral program, right? And the referral program has to be done in a way which is automatized, it's a bit fun, there's a bit maybe of a gamification element to it. How are we for time, Jeff? 5 minutes? Okay, let's do this quick. Okay, where all this fits in a marketing strategy, right? So what I discussed today is not going to replace anything. It's more doing better what we are doing, right? So this is a diagram that we use quite a lot to kind of explain customers, like how we do stuff, right? So we do all the research, build data-driven or customer personas, right? Customer journey mapping, content creation, right? And publishing, you analyze the content, optimize the content, right? This is something very important. Let's say, like, for example, you're creating video content and you're seeing that there's a certain drop after 30 seconds, 31 seconds. You need to review that content, you need to make it shorter. You need to review that segment. Maybe it's not relevant to my audience, or maybe you're targeting to the wrong audience, right? And you need to optimize content, right? That's why, like, if you work with an agent or whoever, right, he is able to kind of make changes really quick, right? Because, like, for example, for us, if we notice a certain drop, we can easily get, let's say, like, for example, 3 different versions done in 2 days, right? And launch those, and let's see what happens, right? And measure in real time, not at the monthly end of month report, right? In real time. By the way, when I say real time, I mean on a day to day, like every 2 days, like, check what's going on, right? So what we discussed today, we're kind of focusing over here on the strategic part. If you do this part right, you are more likely to be successful in this part. If you start this part on the wrong foot, right, or you don't do enough research, then it's not going to really work over here, and you're going to face all these problems that you mentioned. Okay, if you do this, okay, or take the first steps, these are the expected outcomes. So the idea is to reduce the time they spend on the decision making, right? Ideally, increase their lifetime value, because if you give them a good experience, they're going to keep coming back. And the most important is something that I'm really passionate on, about is outstanding customer experience. Thank you. Was it quick enough? Good. Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Any questions?
I think we got time for maybe like one or two questions.
One or two questions.
You mentioned like very early on, you talked about there was like some tools that people use, software that people use to build, I think it was the customer persona process, sort of the whole journey. Do you have any examples?
Yeah, there's UXpressia, there's Smaply,
Oh, you're too fast.
UXpressia, I think, Smaply, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are many tools. Many tools, right? They nearly all do the same job. If you're doing this solo or two people, start with a template, right? Pen and paper. I mean, hey, before you do anything digitally, do stuff pen and paper, okay, with sticky notes. Very important. But yeah, then if you have a team and you want to collaborate and present it to the client, update it constantly, keep track of everything, then yeah, go for the $100 monthly tool. It will. Well.
Yeah, let's give a big hand for it.
Thank you.